This week on In the Epic Shop, the Ginger talks about fenders.
Fenders do not make me want to vomit.
Christian acts like a cat.
Sorry.
And we drive a special FORD Bronco Raptor.
Oh, that's nice. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. We have something special and different for you today. Behind me stands something I didn't even know existed. So here is a brand new Bronco Raptor. Now, I knew they existed, but I have never seen one with painted fenders and painted roof. It looks so much better. They should have led with this. Those fenders do not make me want to vomit now. They literally look like they belong on the vehicle. So one of my good customers just recently picked this up after basically buying a wild track, enjoyed it so much, he's like, let's go a model up. That is naturally the Raptor Bronco with the V6 twin turbo engine and 37-inch tires right out of the door. So let me tell you, this thing is pretty impressive for a Ford. Now, I've never owned a Ford before, but this definitely gets my attention. All in all, it's here to get a little bit of work done. I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited to take it for a drive, see how it is. And by the way, we did ask permission first. I didn't just steal the person's vehicle. Without further ado, let's take this bad boy for a rip and let's see how it is from a long-term Jeep guy's perspective. Let's get her done. Sorry, got distracted there, much like a cat, I don't know. It's just very soothing and relaxing right now. So now we're inside the Bronco Raptor, and I can tell you, it is definitely not the Bronco I remember Sean having. This is definitely, the hardtop seems substantial. Not just painted on the outside, but the interior seems substantial. This steering wheel is phenomenal. The screen is huge. The nice blue accent option he picked is very nice because at least it gives a lot more detail to the plasticky stuff. So you've got like the dark gray, then the dark blue. So at least that. And if this doesn't pick it up well in camera, this is really bright orange. Definitely brighter than my beard. So all in all, this should be pretty fun. I'm gonna take this for a drive. Just gonna be dead honest. Who knows? Let's see what happens. I can tell you right off the bat, this seat is like a million times more comfortable than any Jeep I've been in. Now, it could be because I find Fords tend to be more designed for the larger individual, and I am now one of them. So maybe it just fits and hugs me in places the Jeep just couldn't. But it is very, very comfortable. Like, I could definitely see doing a long trip in this. Now, I haven't played with any of the modes yet. I'm basically just driving straight. We're on a set of factory 37s with the Fox suspension that comes with the Raptor. This is a V6 twin turbo engine to the best of my knowledge, so. Oh, it definitely has pick up and go when the turbos kick in, wow. And it does not sound like a Honda Accord. So that's also a huge bonus because I don't like Honda Accords. All right, let's see if we can find some rougher terrain that isn't dirty, since it's not mine. Oh, it accelerates nice. It definitely does feel wider. It is wider, I would assume. It's probably about the width of maybe a bigger axle on 37s with a Jeep. I don't know, but the hood is quite wide. So I guess you'd have to check Google for some measurements, but it does feel wider. I wonder if it has an exhaust button like Landon's Ranger Raptor. There's so many buttons, I have no idea what to touch. Oh, there's a button on the steering wheel. What's this? Exhaust, Sport, Baja. Oh yeah, oh that's better. We've opened her up, she's a throaty girl. All right, here we go. Where's the Baja mode? Sport, normal, Off-road, Baja. There we go. So we got Baja mode. And okay, we're good. Woo! Oh, that's nice. I see it's holding the shift in Baja mode, keeps the revs high. So when you're like climbing those sand dunes or whatever, that you don't lose your momentum, you like stay in the power zone. Oh yeah, this is nice. Nice. I could get used to this. Probably not the car payment, but I could get used to driving it. That is the glory of IFS. And technically the rear also has coilovers in this thing, and they're all dampened, but now we're trying to slow down. It's dropping the gears, but it's keeping the revs high, so we don't lose our momentum even with that. The steering doesn't feel flighty. I'm not even touching steering. Like, this is just doing it itself. Like, this is phenomenal. Just turn it back to normal mode. Change some of the spicy options. So there's a quiet exhaust mode, so you can sneak out of the house. Then we've got a normal mode, sport mode, Baja mode. The customers let us know that next week this goes in for the performance tuning from Ford, which is kind of neat. That I think you get like an extra 30 plus horsepower for $1,000. That's pretty, or maybe it was 50. Landon was telling me, but realistically, if you think about it, like per horsepower dollar value, that's pretty amazing. And I think it doesn't bother your warranty since the Ford dealer is doing it. So that's actually a really neat feature. I kind of wish Jeep did that, because I wouldn't mind some extra ponies in my 2-liter turbo. And I know for a fact it has it in it, because they've done, at Easter Jeep Safari, they've done Mopar performance tunes of over 300 horsepower on those things. And I think over in Europe, either Fiat or Alfa Romeo also uses that motor in a few things. And they have a spicier version too. So that would be nice if we could get some fun stuff. This is extremely comfortable of a vehicle. Now, all I have to compare this on is a bumpy paved road that's falling apart and city driving. Unfortunately, I do not have the time to go test it off-road, which I'd love to do because I think this would eat up service roads like crazy. Will this rock crawl with the Jeeps? No, it will not. It could do a lot of rock crawling. It has a rock crawl mold on the dash. It has the sway bar disconnect. It has lockers front and rear. It has all the bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, you'll never get the articulation out of an IFS suspension that you will get out of solid axle. That's not to say you actually need the articulation that a solid axle can provide with the right suspension. You might be fine doing the rock crawling in your area with this. You have to get used to, there's a good chance you're gonna 3-wheel more often, but if you drive on the road more than you rock crawl, you're going to get more benefit out of a vehicle like this than you are out of a solid axle vehicle. But that said, this vehicle is not the cheapest. To put it in perspective, this vehicle costs the same price, basically in Canada, as we paid for both 2 doors put together. So to give you an idea, 1 Bronco Raptor, 2 2-door JL Willys. Though it's not in everyone's price point, I know everyone will say the vehicle's too expensive and this, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't exist just because it's expensive, because we have supercars in the world. They are extremely expensive and unnecessary, and there is nowhere you get to really use them unless you're on the Autobahn. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't make them and the people that can afford them can get them. And the rest of us can just drool over them and put posters on our walls as teenagers. This is a really comfortable vehicle to drive. So I could definitely drive this around town and do some service roads or runs to the desert. Like, that is literally what this is made for. They did not come out with this Bronco Raptor to go dominate Moab. It'll do some trails in Moab, no problem, but it is not doing some crazy rock crawling with this unless you have no problem smashing the crap out of it. And I'll tell you, it's got those big flares on it that are definitely not going to like rocks. So, especially when they're all nice and painted. So they're definitely going to be expensive if you rub them somewhere. This was in our shop today so we could add some lighting for him and proper power for the fridge. Now, if you didn't know, yes, a lot of the vehicles nowadays come with cigarette lighter ports all over them so you can plug things in. What they don't tell you is they aren't really wired properly for you to run things. Yes, you could plug a fridge in and yes, it will work most of the time, but the gauge of wire that is from that 12-volt plug to your battery is so thin in comparison to what the fridge requires in order to operate properly, both for it and to protect your battery and get the readings properly, needs to be a good like 8 to 10 gauge. And I can tell you that's not what's at the cigarette lighter port in the back of a Jeep or a Bronco or whatever vehicle you're in. So we wire, most of the time we just choose the Dometic fridge wiring kit because it gives you 2 ports, one 12-volt, one 12-volt twist lock, which is great because then you don't have to worry about your fridge plug just kind of falling out. And it gives you all the wiring in one jacket to go all the way to the battery. So it's like a great kit for a great value. And we have put them in pretty much every vehicle that wanted a fridge that has come into our shop. We just finished putting them in the 2-doors this week so that we could get up and going and have the fridge. We also added reverse lights. Went through a bunch of different companies to see what was out there. And we went with one that basically mounts inside the spare tire area. And we put 2 Baja Designs, I think S2 reverse lights. And they're wired up to one of the aux switches. And it's just good to go. So the nice thing about these aux switches, I do like where they put them. They give you 6 of them. They're very tactile. They're very much like a fighter jet or a plane or something, the way they work. Because it's just like, it just works like that. They have wiring up front for them. Plus they have wires for some of the switches all the way up at the front bumper in case it's like pre-ready for doing some wiring. And there may be even some other parts of the vehicle. I haven't dug into it because I haven't had to look for wires to do work on. Landon did this vehicle today. All in all, the customer loves this. He bought a Wild Track last year because that was the model you had to get to at least get the steering rack out of this so they wouldn't break like the other Bronco models. But he liked it so much, he ordered this one to replace it with and gave the other one to an employee. So I gotta say, that's pretty awesome. Just backing in at the store. Always back in, guys, just always. If you can back in, back in. Makes it easier for a getaway. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was a little more impressive than I expected. For a commuting vehicle, I can fully understand why I see a lot of construction companies and supervisors and foremen all driving Raptor products of some kind. Hell, this is what this guy does for a living as well. So if you're gonna drive to and from the job site every day, why not be in one of the most comfortable suspensions you could do on the road or probably on a service road? Before this, the vehicle I would say was the most comfortable that I've driven and most fun would be the Ram TRX with the Hellcat motor. Now, the Hellcat motor is more enjoyable than this, but this is more obtainable than that. And well, this still exists and the other one doesn't. So this is phenomenal. I don't know how it is on the rocks and off-road. I can guarantee in the desert, service roads, ruts, bumps, all that kind of stuff, this thing is going to just fly through it like it was a daily commute, like it was nothing. IFS has that ability, and this is not just a regular IFS, this is definitely a highly tuned IFS between Ford and Fox suspension. And I'm impressed. I've been in Landon's. Landon's has the same engine. They both they definitely throw you back in your seat. This one's a little cushier to drive and a little wider, as you could obviously see. It's definitely got a meaner presence, but you're talking in Canada, a $40,000 price difference. So, but in the States, you can buy a Wild Track is only $30,000 difference to this, or somewhere, I'm just guessing at numbers a bit. I looked at the website. You get a lot for that 30K. You already have a street legal, fender coveraged vehicle on 37-inch tires out the door with a V6 twin turbo high performance engine that you can add more horsepower to legally at the dealership without messing up your warranty. You have high performance Fox suspension and a bunch of bells and whistles inside, a mean look. Technically, there's not a lot left to do to this vehicle. Like, you're not going to lift it higher. You don't need to put bigger tires on this. I guess you could ruin it and put a tent on the roof and look like an overlander. It already comes with rigid fog lights from factory, so they've already got that theme going. What would I do? Even though it comes with beadlock capable wheels, I'm not a beadlock person because it's just added maintenance I have to keep track of. I would probably put a nice set of Method bead grips on here, probably a more aggressive tire or something a little bit more my style, and outfit the back with some goose gear. And if I could find a winch carrier that didn't ruin the aesthetic of the front, that would be the way to go. But all in all, yep, in Canada, these are like $120,000. That is a good chunk of change. I used to think I was gonna pay less for a house years ago. Those days are gone. So instead of being house poor, I could be vehicle poor. Jeep, I think the ball's in your court. Since you're revamping a bunch of Stellantis, they keep screwing up pricing and all kinds of other stuff. Now's the time you're gonna have to come out with some bigger, badder models. Thank you for the 392. It's been fun. I know you're gonna have to get rid of it because of emissions and dinosaurs and all kinds of other weird stuff and cow flatulence and the stuff we've talked about in the past. That doesn't mean you can't use a bigger tire. So there's no reason you can't make a 37s package for the Jeep or the Gladiator especially. We'll just have to wait and see. Until next time, thank you for this unscheduled programming, different from our previous stuff, away from the two doors for a bit. Later. I imagine they're not the same vehicle they were back then, because everyone, I would like to believe, has improved their vehicles. Oh yeah, that doesn't get old. That sounds amazing. For a V6, that sounds great. The twin turbos just pull. So you are just going. As you can see, like, I'm not hitting the ceiling. I'm just like, you can see me move a bit because I'm kind of spongy and I jiggle a bit. But this is, my back doesn't mind this at all, hitting these bumps. Like, oh, that is nice. Off-road use only